Hi guys, welcome back to the Astro Imaging channel. Tonight's session, we are going to share our eclipse stories. I know you guys did something cool during the eclipse. I did something pretty cool during the eclipse. We probably all did the same thing, just maybe in a different place. Session, we are going to share our eclipse my goodness. Stories. Forgot I can't pull up that website while I'm talking. Okay, but before we do that, I'm going to show off our image of the week, which, as you probably could have guessed, is an eclipse photo. It's actually a landscape, and you can see the eclipse up top. This is by Corey Phillips, and if you go to our website, theastroimagingchannel.com, you can check it out. You can leave a comment, or you can submit your own photo, and maybe you'll get the image of the week. That said, I'm going to pull the screen right back, or pull the window right back and get rid of that so you're not seeing that. And yes, like I said, no problem, Corey. I see in chat. Sessions on sharing your eclipse stories, but we have one thing to do, and we're going to do it at the very end. We have the giveaway for the StellarMate, and I took my screen back, but I'm going to share it again and again one more time. The StellarMate, if you've been with us a while, you would have seen a presentation by Jasem Mutlak on K-Stars Indie, kind of an open source acquisition software that was being designed to work on Linux systems, and the hope was to develop them for smaller form factor systems. Well, Jasem has done just that. And he's basically designed the hardware and software to behind what he's calling the StellarMate. And this is, I believe there's a picture here. Yes, you can see it over here. This is basically a palm-sized computer that does all of your acquisition for you. It's an all-in-one, so you basically plug it in or hook it up to your home Wi-Fi network, and you can run it from a PC, from your phone, and basically it's just a small device that hangs either off your computer or on your OTA or wherever you want to put it. And it is a pretty cool device, and Jasem offered us 3 of them to give away. Last session, 2 weeks ago, I asked for names, and I'm going to do that one more time. If you want to be up for this, just be entered in this drawing. What I will say is just say I now. But before I do that, I just want to give you the 2 preconditions that Jasem asked for. First of all, you have to be willing to pay the shipping because it's coming from Europe. It's a little bit expensive. That's going to run you $35. And number 2, and probably more important, is he wants your feedback. You're going to be one of the first people to get this device, and he wants to know what you like about it, what you hate about it. And just like anything else, there might be some things, particularly in this hobby, that aren't quite working as you expect. And he wants you to have that experience. He wants himself to have that experience and to figure out what's going wrong or what maybe is being misused, and give you a good way to let you know. So I'm going to pop back. But again, if you guys want to check this out, if you don't win the drawing tonight, go to the StellarMate website and check it out. It's a really cool device. I really wish him luck with this, because if this turns out to be as good as it seems, then there are going to be a lot of happy astrophotographers out there. StellarMate.com. And besides that, I'm going to take my screen back so I could see the chat and I can see everything else. But if you would like to be in this drawing, basically what to do is in the chat, type "enter me in the drawing" or something of the sort, and I will copy and paste your name to a document I have, and then we will do a drawing at the end of the session. I have my randomizer right here, a bunch of numbers in a cup, so we're all set. I hear the pops, but I don't see any "enter me in the drawings." Well, you have the whole session to say "enter me." Steve Sagarian, there we go. Got one more. And sorry, I'm going to have to do this as I go, because I do not want to forget anyone. And if you do want to be entered in the drawing, then you have to get on our website, theastroimagingchannel.com, click in chat, and just type in like what I just said. Please enter me, anything of the sort, and I'll understand what you're saying. Bear with me while I get these guys in here. I'm hoping you all. And I'm hoping you all had good Eclipse experiences. If anyone out in chat had a great experience and you have a video camera, have been on Google Hangouts, then what I will do is I will even offer you guys the link so you can get in here. Oh, this is hard to cut and paste with all the jumping around. No, I'm sorry for this. There's no easy way to do this. I tried to find like some sort of sweepstakes website, and they want to charge me money. I don't like to... oh, yes, you already entered, George. I'm sorry for this. There's, like I said, there's no easy way. But I do need to know exactly how many people I have so I can throw my little dots in there. The eclipse. I hope you guys had a good time during the eclipse. I definitely had a good time. I didn't necessarily do anything different than I was planning. I had made plans to go to our local fair. There we go, I'm done. I had made plans to go to our local fair and realized, oh yeah, it's Monday, it's the eclipse. The fair is somewhat close to our club's observatory, so I was thinking of possibly stopping by there. I didn't end up doing that, but I did get to see the eclipse from just basically the perfect spot. No trees anywhere. The sun was high up in the sky. Sorry, I'm trying to do like two things at once. And look at the photos that are popping up on chat, so. What I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this while another person's telling their eclipse story. Well, let me start at the beginning of my day. And I was joking around with the guys earlier. I went to a nursing home to visit my mother-in-law, and we were sitting in the window, and the nurses were talking about the eclipse coming, and they said, "Oh, the eclipse is coming. We've got to put the shades down so that people don't burn their eyes." And I just kind of laughed and shook my head. And I thought, you know, if you're going to tell people that there's an eclipse outside and then you're going to put the shades down so they don't burn your eyes, I'm not quite sure I understand the point. Might as well just not tell them anything and leave the shades up and let it be. But they didn't. They put all the shades down. So a lot of unhappy people in that nursing home.
Oh, Adam, let me tell a story while you're doing your paperwork there.
Please do, Alex. Please do.
I was at a regular monthly outreach at the big shopping center down nearby, and one of the guys that I was with is a school psychologist, and he had provided sets of eyeglasses to his schools so that the schools could take their kids out and put eyeglasses, you know, the solar glasses on, and everybody could see what it is that you know, could see the partially eclipsed sun here from Southern California. I think what were we, 73% or something like that. At any rate, and so he was all excited. He went up to Oregon, saw the eclipse in totality and stuff like that, and got back and was talking to his two schools that he works with, one of whom the principal had canceled recess that day so that the kids couldn't be out looking at the sun. The other one had decided that in another case, for safety's sake, one of the teachers decided that the kids had to put their glasses on before they left the room so that they couldn't inadvertently walk out and then get blinded by the sun. And so you've got, I don't know, 30 or whatever it is, third graders, all wearing eclipse glasses, all trying to stumble outside at the same time so that they could see the sun. So That's two stories. Meanwhile, Adam, just to clarify, what we're doing here today is if people have shots of the solar eclipse, where should we put them, and how do we talk about our stories? What do we do here? What's the protocol for today?
If you're in the room and you want to share your photo, then you can do it via screen share. If you're outside of the room and you just want to share a photo, put it right into chat. Hopefully you can figure out how to get a photo in there. But for those of us in the room, we can just typical screen share methodology. So
I didn't know we were going to be doing this quite tonight yet because I've just barely gotten home from Weiser, Idaho, and I want to do it some other time later to show off my whole presentation. But I will try to get a my movie at least operating. See if I've got it on a different computer where I have the software to process it. And I'm trying to get that loaded right now for you. Meanwhile, I hope everybody else is getting something up in here.
Yeah, that's fine, Alex. Basically, for me, it was a kind of short week with all the goings on, so I didn't have time to put a presentation together, and I figured everyone was going to have some cool thing that happened during the eclipse. So I'll share my story. I went to our local fair, and I was walking around with my white light glasses, and basically every time I saw someone who looked like they were a little bit interested in the eclipse or someone pointing their cell phone up, I would hand my glasses to them and let them try them out, and saw a few, well, got a lot of interest. And there were a lot of people doing the same thing that I was doing. So I guess the astronomers of the world did a good job of getting those glasses out there. I saw a bunch of glasses from the Charlie Bates solar astronomy project, and I couldn't help but asking, "Hey, where'd you get those glasses from? A big guy, tattoos, dressed up like the sun?" But that's Stephen Ramsden in a big logoed out SUV, or I don't even remember what type of car it was, but it was basically a pretty fun car. So I'm at the fair with my kids and my parents, and my mother calls me and says, "Hey, there's a guy with a solar telescope set up. You should come check it out." And she told me where it was, so I went down and I started chatting with them. And you know, a solar telescope, that's someone who's really into astronomy, right? A lot of people have telescopes and they put white light filters on it, but this was an H alpha telescope. So I saw him, I walked over, I started chatting with him, and he said, "Oh yeah, well, I'm here because I'm the beekeeper." And he has this stand that I've actually been going to for my whole entire life, every year at this fair. And they have a bee display, they have all these bees, and they're selling all sorts of honey. And I started chatting with them, and I told him I basically like astrophotography. That's kind of my niche. And he said, "Oh, he does astrophotography." And I said, "Oh, really? What kind of equipment do you have?" And he said, "Well, I have a picture of it right here." And he showed me a beautiful astrophysics mount, Takahashi telescope, FLI filter wheel, camera. And I'm like, "Wow, that's a nice piece of gear." So I told him about the channel, and I said, "You know, there's not many of us around." And I don't know, I basically just kind of talking with them. And I don't know how we got started on it, but he knew of my furniture store. He knew where I worked, and we were chatting about that for a while. So I don't know how we got to it, but I asked him what he did, and I'm surprised he had held out this long, because I got his business card, and he builds cameras. He's the engineering manager and I think part owner of FLI. So sure enough, I ran into probably the only guy at the fair that I could have a 2-hour-long conversation with and not bore the heck out of him. But it's funny how that happens. And he was just there sharing his telescope with everyone, and sharing his bees with everyone as well. So I had a good time, and I got to show the people in the parking lot the solar eclipse. I got to show some people inside the solar eclipse. I got to eat some frog's legs and some gator bites. Our fair is pretty fun. But that's my story. Now, I did not go to totality, so I only got to see the crescent sun. But wow, I'm looking at some pretty cool images and animations taken in chat. Let me think for a second. Anyone else in the room want to share their?
Yeah. Hey, Adam, I don't know if you've noticed it, but Steve Sagarian is in the room, and he has a link to his shots.
I did see that.
Yeah, Steve, why don't we turn it over to Steve for a bit? Steve, can you tell us about what you did and tell us some stories? Share your screen maybe and show us some of your pictures. Not your pictures. Oh, it's somebody else's picture. Well, it was a nice try on my part, wasn't it? I've got something I think I can show you. I should tell you that I have not processed my images properly yet. I just got back Friday morning, 4 o'clock in the morning after driving back from Idaho. So I haven't processed my images yet. I really don't know what I'm doing here, but let me take a shot at showing you a little bit of what I did. I got a screen share, my entire screen, share it, and you getting it right now? And then I got to go to the movie, which is, where is the movie? Eclipse 2 is the movie. And let's see what can you see it?
Yep.
Oops.
When it's finished, what it's got, 52 seconds left. I'll tell you what I did. So that's my movie. I made up that movie by, where are we? I'm going to stop my screen share. How do you stop a screen share?
Click the screen share button again.
Okay. Am I back to, let's see, where am I? There I am. I think you guys have heard me tell you, don't take pictures of the totality if this is your first totality. This is my 5th, I think, totality. And I've also had 2 annular eclipses. And I followed my rules pretty well. I think I looked down at my camera once during totality. Basically, I had my solar telescope, my camera set up. I set it up on Saturday night and completely polar aligned it and everything, and ran it for about 2 or 3 hours on Saturday night, adjusting as necessary to make sure I was perfectly polar aligned. Up on top, I had, it was a GM8, and it was carrying a TeleVue 85 and a TV Ranger. And the TV Ranger had my Canon 600, I think it was, XSI, but I don't remember those names. And the TV 85 had a Hotech field flattener along with a Canon 6D. The Canon 6D had a intervalometer on it. The 600 did not have an intervalometer on it. I broke the intervalometer a long time ago, and I had to use backyard EOS to trigger the pictures. Both of them took pictures every 30 seconds one 3200th, I think, at ISO 400. The one of them, the picture you saw, the movie you saw just now, used a Baader Astro Solar film that I had handmade, and on the Ranger was a Thousand Oaks optical. The reason I had two scopes up there was in case something went wrong, and it so happens that something went wrong on both of them. About an hour and a half or two before totality, a woman came up to me in the campground, and I was the local astronomer in the campground. And the woman came up to me and said, "I can't get my Quest Star to work. Can you come help me?" And I said, "Well, ma'am, it's kind of busy time, but you know, I've been trained as an outreach person, and you're always like all generous with your time and all that other stuff." And I went over there and worked on it for about a half an hour, and I lost about a half an hour at a time when I needed to be over setting up. As a result, I didn't get one of my cameras started right. It didn't get started on time, and so I kind of missed some of those earlier shots on the Ranger equipped camera. But once totality started, well, once we got close to totality, I shut everything, I completely shut everybody out. I had set up two full telescopes, two mounts. One of them had 3 telescopes for the public, and the other was my mounts with the 2 astro imaging telescopes. The one for the public had a sign on it that said, "Please look, don't touch, but please look, enjoy yourself, do whatever you want to with the telescopes." And that was very generous of me, I thought. However, what they didn't realize was about 30 feet away, I had my 2 astronomical telescopes, my 2 imaging telescopes, and I had wrapped caution tape around them so that nobody would mess with my telescopes over there. And I was over there while they were over on the public scopes. They were having a good time over there, and I just sat there with the intervalometer in my left hand and my right hand sitting on the shutter speed button. And I started out at 3200. I pulled my just as totality was starting, I pulled the filter off and I clicked the intervalometer and then clicked the shutter speed, clicked the intervalometer, shutter speed, intervalometer. And as you're going along, you can hear the camera doing the shutter, but I'm looking at the eclipse and I didn't look down. And I came all the way up to where it was taking, I think, 4-second shots, and you can hear the shutter slowing down. You know, it goes click, 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 and it slows down because you're increasing the shutter speed. When I got all the way up to 4 seconds, I started decreasing it again until it went all the way back to 1/4000th of a second and took a picture. And then when totality was over, I put the filter back on and just let it continue to take a picture every 30 seconds for the remainder of totality. I then put them together in Windows Live Movie Maker, and as a result, that's the movie you just saw. That was my first draft of the movie. I'm not really ready to be doing this tonight. It's going to take me a couple of weeks before I do everything. One of the things I want to do is, you remember the sequence right in the middle during totality. You saw the series of pictures of at different exposures. In fact, the brightness of the corona does not change during totality. It stays the same, but you're changing the shutter speed, and as a result, getting different exposures all the way through. My next job is to make a high depth, a high dynamic range image of that, taking the dimmest part of one image and putting it with the dimmest part of the next image, and the dimmest all the way up until I can get the entire span of the dynamic range of the corona. But that takes a lot of work to do, and I've done 1 or 2 drafts of it and they came out really ugly, so I just have to put a lot more effort into it. And I should have that ready in a couple of weeks before I'm ready to show that off. So there. That's my first offering. I'll let somebody else talk for a while.
Who in the room saw the totality?
What's what?
Who in the room saw drove to the totality?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is Steve Segarian. I'm a member of the Naperville Astronomy Association Club, and we had done some fairly extensive planning for this trip. We actually went down as a club and stayed in, the night before we stayed in a place called Mount Vernon in Illinois. So the groups, and we had a really nice time there. Some people went to dinner as a group. Others, I drove down with my my two daughters. One is high school and one is college. And so we actually had reserved 3 different sites in 3 different cities, about 200 miles apart, to pick one of those 3 sites based on the weather forecast on Monday. 2 of the sites, Goreville, Illinois, and then Boonville, Missouri, were both, the weather forecast was such that they would be either partly cloudy or fully cloudy. So we drove all the way down to a place called White House, Tennessee. And we got pretty there, plenty of time to get set up. And of course, you know, some people from the club had chosen to go to the other 2 sites, so that wasn't the full club, but it was a good mix of people. We saw totality. It was awesome. I've never seen my daughters more excited about something scientific. So we had a good time there. We didn't stay much. We stayed about 30 minutes after totality and got in our school on Tuesday. She'd actually skipped school on Monday. And then we ran into the great American traffic jam. It was just choked from basically anybody who would come to see the eclipse from the north, Chicago, Wisconsin, Iowa, Indiana. It was just a massive traffic jam from our trip should have taken us 8 hours to go from Tennessee up to Chicago. And we didn't get home till, we were lucky actually. We actually got home at 1:30 in the morning. There were some people in our group who basically ended up getting a hotel in Louisville or Bowling Green and didn't arrive until the next day. But it was just a complete, utter mess. Kids were really, you know, they were actually helping me. So we're trying to find all these little back road navigation routes to get home. And so they were using their cell phones to figure out which route was close at hand and could get us north. And so we had a lot of fun doing that, but it was brutal getting home. So anyways, that's all I got.
Traffic for a good reason. A better reason than a concert or a baseball game.
Adam, you want me to tell our story?
Go ahead, Eric.
Well, about a year ago, we had reserved rooms in Missouri, Illinois, and Nebraska. And the last week, we decided we were going to go to Grand Island, Nebraska, which is out in the middle of nowhere, about 600 miles from Chicago. And myself and Mitch Trilling, we went there to this hotel. Very accommodating. They had solar glasses. And let me share my screen. And they had gum in the room. So that was kind of fun. So we set up a bunch of telescopes out in the back of the hotel. No, I want to do that one. And let's see. We still sharing our screen?
Yep.
So basically we set up my HA telescope on the right and then 3 of just the white light telescopes. And Mitch set up his little Questar, which is the scope second from the left, right by the Celestron. And he took pictures all the way through. So we're all excited. It was a little bit hazy, you could probably see from the sky. And so we were worried that a cloud was going to come. And so we spent from about 8 o'clock till it started worrying and setting up the telescopes. In the meantime, about 30 or 40 people from the hotel who had come there to see the eclipse started accumulating around, and we ended up being the instructors, kind of the outreach for the group. And we saw the beginning of totality. Actually, I saw it in my little HA telescope, and that was the start of it, and we watched it all the way through. But as we got close to totality, we had positioned everyone on the lawn. Now, I don't have a picture of totality, but I took a picture right before. So basically, everyone was positioned so they would do the right thing, so they wouldn't be taking pictures, and they take off their glasses right during totality. And that includes me. So I got down in a chair. I got down in a chair and looked up, and following, actually going against Alex's advice, I took out my 35mm camera, held it on my chest, and snapped pictures during totality without looking at the camera at all, hoping to actually get something. But the really surprising event was that leading up to totality, even though the sun was obscured partially, it still didn't seem to get very dark because your eyes adjusted. But as soon as totality hit, it's like the lights went off, like they just walk into a room and they shut off the lights, and everyone in the whole area just let out this little gasp, including me, like, and we just spent 2.5 minutes kind of in rapture looking up at the eclipse. It was an amazing experience. I don't know whether I'll ever see another one again. And everyone that was out there was just thrilled. And I did end up with a really stupid picture, which I'll bring up here. A couple of the pictures actually got the sun in it. Now this is a 55mm SLR, so it's actually blown up a little bit, and there's no resolution in that, but I got my picture of the eclipse, and we had really a wonderful experience. And even though it was somewhat overcast leading up to totality, as soon as totality hit, it's like all the clouds disappeared. And I don't know what that effect is, but basically we had a deep blue sky where we saw lots of stars and planets and not a single cloud. And the only thing we can think of is that somehow, because it was illuminated from the back, you really couldn't see the clouds. So we had the perfect view of totality. And then we drove 600 miles home the next day without any traffic. And it only took 8 hours, not 12 hours. And most of the people coming from Carbondale apparently had the same traffic that you did, Steve. So that's my story.
Very cool. Thank you. What I'm going to do is, hopefully this will work out the way I'm planning. I'm going to share my whole screen, and I'm going to just kind of go through a few of these pictures. I know most of the people that I'm watching, I hope, are in chat, but and are at least looking at chat, but there's some great pictures in there. So I'm going to try to see how I do this. I think I don't know which window they're all going to pop up in, so I'm just going to share my whole screen and pull them up one at a time. From Elias, pretty cool eclipse picture here. Let me see. Maybe it'll work this way. Yeah, Elias.
Really, Elias, was that a single shot? Because you got better sunspots by far and granularity in the sun. Or did you somehow manage to process that out of a stack of video? That's really, really pretty sharp stuff you got there.
Yes.
Yes to both. Single shot then. Okay.
Yes, single shot.
Okay, cool.
Really cool.
Yeah, those sunspots are much better than my sunspots.
Next one by George Lutch. And this is a nice sharp one. It's kind of like either pre or post diamond ring, but it has that diamond ring effect. And you know, I actually like the diffraction effect that's coming off the sun. I am guessing that's because he used a very expensive lens on this one, but I can't be sure. But pretty cool photo there. Let's see. I saw some links here. Will this open up? It's a TIFF. Let's see. I don't use Windows. Oh, it's going to go into Photoshop. So my Photoshop takes, I don't know, a minute and a half to open for some reason. So I'm going to show off Dave Watkins' image in the meantime. You know what? And Photoshop is going to... Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, I'll show off Dave Watkins' image in the meantime. Right here. Another one with that kind of diamond ring effect. And I see some interesting prominences on the bottom over here and over here. Just kind of peeking through. Another one with that kind of diamond ring effect. And I see some interesting prominences on the bottom.
Been fucking listening to you all day. Stop.
Just kind of peeking through. Another one with that kind of diamond ring effect. And I see somebody. There we go. Okay. Another one with that kind of diamond ring effect. And I see somebody. There we go. Sorry, I hear my voice again. Another one, just as the moon, I don't know what it was going in. Interesting one there. I noticed it's sharp around the sun, but the inside of the sun is a little bit, just a little bit blurred, but another interesting photo there. Dariv. Nice photo there. Christopher Scott. So this doesn't appear to be an eclipse photo, but it's a nice solar photo. Oh. And unfortunately, we're going to see a few of these, I'm sure. Pictures of the sun through the clouds. I only saw there was only one cloud in the sky when, like, basically all day there was only one cloud in the sky, and it passed right in front of the sun, so people were able to look up at the sun behind the cloud and basically see the whole eclipse. It was pretty impressive. In fact, if that cloud hadn't passed in front of the sun at the beginning of the eclipse, I probably wouldn't have looked up for another half an hour. So I saw it, and I saw people pointing up at it, and I was like, oh, it's time. Okay, let's look.
Are you talking first contact?
First contact, yes.
Oh, okay.
There is a time-lapse animation on YouTube. But how do I, there we go. I believe you're going to be able to see this as well. And this one is by David Watkins.
Sun shrinking, help it shrinking.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, very good.
That's really good job on that. You guys have to see this one on your own. Let's see, David Watkins. You can see his name there. Check out his YouTube channel because that is pretty darn impressive. But I am going to end that before I get any sound. Let's see. Max Moreau posted this on Astrobin. Oh, he's got a few good ones on there. This is nice. Oh, yeah. So you see the corona, and you also can see some of the detail on the moon. Just a pretty cool image there. Bruce Bennett. I think we saw this one already. Dan V, and Dan's picking up the prominences coming off the side. Those are pretty impressive. and another one by David Watkins, basically just of the corona, which is another great image. Wow, you guys know what you're doing. So there's a video, I'm not sure. Oh. Nicholas is telling me your video does not exist, so I wasn't able to pull it up. Another Nicholas Hartman. Let's see this one.
Animated.
Very nice. I love the way that they all pop. Like, it's just as Eric kind of explained it. All of a sudden, it just goes dark, and you see the corona work its way through.
And that's the time you pull your filter off too.
Yep. And another one, Providence is behind it. And I believe that's all of them that I see on here. But it was, I don't know, for me it was a great experience, even though I didn't get to go to drive south to go see the total eclipse. It was nice, and my kids got to enjoy it. Fortunately, they weren't in school because their teachers would have either kept them locked inside of a bathroom or made them put on glasses before they walked outside and tripped all over everything. But I don't know. I still remember, let me think, I was in third or fourth grade. We built the little thing out of the solar viewer out of a, I think it was a cereal box. And we got to enjoy the eclipse.
Adam, I have one more picture to share. It's
Go ahead.
nothing dramatic, but let me show it. So part of this was being able to explain some things to the kids that were there. And as you get close to totality, if you have a little pinhole camera, you can see the crescent of the sun. But we didn't have a pinhole camera, so I had the kids hold up their fingers and make a little hole in the finger and have the sun shine through, and I photographed the shadow on the ground. And you can see kind of a fuzzy little crescent-shaped sun from the eclipse.
Cool.
Adam, can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. I don't know how that comes across. And we also had a tree with a bunch of leaves in it. I don't have that picture here, where there were like hundreds of little crescents projected on the ground from it.
I do see a couple other video or
Adam,
just posted. Yes.
can I give you a moment to reconnoiter there? Is my screen being shared right now? You should see a big yellow T-shirt.
Yep.
Okay. I was trying to catch the shadows coming across, okay? And so I laid out a sheet across everything and just kind of turned the camera on it. And okay, starting right about here someplace, let's just watch it. And I don't know how good a resolution you get, but you're going to have two different phenomena going on here. One is there's a general darkening, and then it lightens again. But right now you can also see a very fine movement of shadows across the sheet, or at least I can on my, I don't know if you guys can see it where you are. Do you see that? Now it's pronounced. And now we've gone into totality. And listen to this one kid. Actually, I don't know if you're getting the
We're not getting audio.
yeah, you're not getting audio. Okay, but there's one kid here that goes the ripples in the background. Now, did you guys see the shadow bands coming across?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. You're humoring me, I can tell by you. A little bit, yeah.
I'm sure the resolution is messing up.
Yeah, let me go back and just right about here someplace. Fred Espenek had said at RTMC that there wouldn't be a good chance of seeing these things, but I decided to try anyway because I don't get that many opportunities, and I can see something moving across the sheet. In addition, I see a general dimming and brightening again. So that's what I see.
Cool.
Okay. I see a color change too.
Yeah, probably a color temperature change. Yeah.
So it's going from it's going to blue.
Yeah, I got that. That was I was kind of happy with it, but I want to find out the dimming. There's like 4 waves of dimming over the whole area, and that didn't. I don't remember that happening, and I'm wondering if that is the camera's automatic focus or automatic exposure adjusting and readjusting and unadjusting, or what. And then, but over and above that, underneath, you can see some very fine grained ripple. I just don't know that. When I copied that and tried to reproduce it into another film, it disappeared. And the only place I can get it is when playing the original at the highest resolution possible.
Ripple as in what? It's actually moving?
Yeah, there are these things called what is it called? Shadow. The shadow. Well, they're shadows and they ripple across, and I've seen pictures of them, but they're very rare. And as Mike pointed out, he didn't see them. I know when I showed a copy of it to my wife, she didn't see them until I went back to the original, and I can see them in the original. And I can see, and that one kid was yelling, "Hey, ripples, ripples!"
I wonder.
So he was watching it.
I wonder if it's a diffraction effect because
that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's some kind of diffraction effect. Shadow bands. That's what they're called. Shadow bands.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get the shadow bands, and I think I did capture the shadow bands, but I can't show them to anybody because it loses the resolution. They're very fine-grained resolution. So.
Well, there definitely is something eerie about the lighting conditions, something very unnatural, even though it's a natural phenomenon. It's not something you see every day. So,
No.
We're very sensitive to things that are out of place.
And let's see, by the way, this for me was this was my 41st anniversary. So my family decided to have a reunion and celebrate our 41st anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
And so they were having this great big trip. Am I still screen sharing?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to show you some of the pictures from that. This is my sisters are into this kind of madness, but most of it you can skip. But there are some interesting things. Remember I said I had some public scopes? This is my public rig here. And this is one of the things they had on the public rig before we really got going on it. All these people in the yellow shirts are my brothers and sisters and cousins and nephews and nieces. And let's see, here is Mia, that's my granddaughter. And remember what Eric was saying? I took a bunch of construction paper and some hole punches and opened it up for the whole camp for people to punch little holes and things. And so all the kids from the camp and many of the adults punched their names and things like that in so that they could do just what he was talking about there. And get your little half moons coming through. Where was the one I wanted to show you guys? This was my public scope, which consists of a white light solar scope, an ST80. This is funny. I've got a 56, I think, or 60 millimeter Lunt add-on solar filter, and I've got a adapter that I think costs like 135 or 155 that attaches to my TeleVue 85 refractor. But my TeleVue 85 was being used for photographic purposes, and I needed a refractor to stick this thing on. And I thought, hey, I'll use my ST80, which is what, 250 bucks or something like that. Well, I'm not gonna invest in a connector to connect it to the ST80, so I blue taped it up there. It's basically a $900 filter taped to a $250 telescope, and it worked fine. And then this is my my sun gun here, where people can see the eclipse right there. Very popular for taking selfies. When you're ever out in eclipse, get yourself one of those. Here's my granddaughter. Thought it would be appropriate for having a picture of the eclipse. And where is Trisha's? Here they are. So that proved pretty popular for everybody. And that was just everybody come use it as you see fit. And I was 30, 40 feet away. And where's a picture of me?
Is that projection?
Yes, projection. There's I've got an old Celestron 80 millimeter refractor. There it is.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay, and this is all riding up on a Sirius mount, EQ6 mount, and I got a dovetail, put a Losmandy adapter up here, put a Losmandy dovetail, and stuck all three of these scopes on the same thing, lined them up the night before, made sure everything was running perfectly, except for the time when somebody turned it off. I don't know why they did that. They unplugged it. I did not have to adjust this one the whole time either. This one stayed pretty much right where it belonged.
What kind of filter did you have on that?
Okay, well, this is the Lunt solar filter, the hydrogen alpha filter. This is a dedicated solar scope, and there is no filter here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just comes right on through. And then down here at the bottom, there's a diagonal. And right here, there's a, I don't know, 9 or 20 millimeter eyepiece of some kind. And this is a oil filling funnel from the auto parts store. And this is rear projection material for a rear projection screen. And it's just stretched over the funnel.
There was no fear of exploding eyepieces?
If I put a filter right there, which is dark,
Yeah.
there would be, because it would heat up because the filter would absorb energy. But if you're just letting it go right through glass, generally not.
Okay.
Now, I should tell you that although this is an 80 or 90 millimeter refractor, it's just a cheap old achromat that I think I bought a mount that had this on it, and I never got around to throwing this out. It's got two openings in the front. One covers the full aperture, and it's only about a quarter of the aperture is open up at the other end there. Okay, but these things are extremely popular whenever you're doing a solar outreach. You can see the sunspots on it.
I like that.
People can stick their faces up there and say, "Hey, look, I'm in the picture," but you can see the sunspots. And that's a piece of dirt on the filter, which I have to explain to everybody all the time. But the rest of these are actually sunspots. Okay. And what else do I have to show you from this? Snapchatting, obviously. These are just my cousins and everybody. So we had a good time. Okay, that's enough of that madness. Thanks, Adam, for letting me show that.
No problem. And I see a bunch of other people have posted stuff. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have a lot of time to go through each one. There's some longer videos in there. But I do want to get to this drawing. And on a side note, my brother is actually having a baby right now.
Let's go live.
Yeah. So, right. Actually, he's not having a baby. His girlfriend is having a baby, but probably didn't have to say that. That said, let's get to this drawing because I don't know. I've been kind of excited about this for a while. Wow, there's some good pic. That's a cool picture. Let me show off one picture. Nicholas Hartman. hate having so many windows open on my screen. There we go. Another great picture, and I love the way those prominences are. I don't know if he did that manually or in processing, or if it just happened to have that color, but really cool photo right there.
It is cool.
Okay, but that said, I'm going to take back my screen. I'm going to bring my chat window up here. And basically right in front of me, I have a list of all the eyes. And next to each eye, I put a number. And I cut out a bunch of numbers and I put them inside of my cup here. So I'm just going to shake them up. And I pulled out 3 of them. So the first one, number 12, Gerald Grech. Gerald, if you're out there, well, let me give you the names first, and then I'll tell you what to do. Gerald Grech, then Guillermo Spires Madge, and Walter. So those are the names I have. Gerald, Guillermo, and Walter. If you guys are in the room, first of all, if you're not in the room, or if any of you know these people aren't in the room and you know them, please reach out to them. Tell them they won the sweepstakes, millions and millions of dollars. They have to contact me immediately, and I will give them the coupon code. But basically, just contact me via the Astro Imaging Channel contact form, which is on our website. It'll get you right to me. All I need is your email address, and I will give you the coupon code to use on the StellarMate website. But again, Gerald Grech, Guillermo Spires Madge or Maggi, and Walter. You guys are the winners, so congratulations. I'm not going to let you off that easily, though. When you guys get these things in your hands, when you get to use them, I'm going to want you guys to come on and kind of give me a review. Tell us what you like about it, because it really seems like a cool device. We have talked about...
And Adam, remind them that you have to write the people who donated these prizes and thank them. Thank them for participating.
Yes.
Thank you for sending in a door prize.
Yeah, I agree. This is a really good opportunity that Jasem gave us. And I think he knows he's given it to the right people if he's looking for both feedback, but also someone who's going to use it and get some pretty decent images. You know, it's not the piece of hardware that makes the image, but it's nice to have some good images when you're using good hardware. And I think that's what a lot of us here are kind of doing. So again, guys, on our website, theastroimagingchannel.com, all I really need is your email address. Say, hey, I won the sweepstakes, and you will receive the coupon code in the mail, and basically just go on their website and order it. So that is basically it. I will try and post the names somewhere that you'll see them. I'm not quite sure. It'll probably go up on Google Plus if you're following us on Google Plus. Of course, they just updated their website stuff, and it's broken a lot of the stuff that we tend to use. So you'll see a few changes in the way we announce episodes. If you were getting our episodes announced to you via Google Plus, you'll notice that you didn't get the notification this time. And it kind of stinks, but there's no more events in Google Plus, so we'll have to find a new way. But thank you,
Adam.
All. Yes.
Adam, I want to give you a little news about the StellarMate. He made the disk image available now, so if somebody's, anybody's, familiar with how to burn a disk image onto a Raspberry Pi, you don't have to buy the whole thing. You could just purchase the disk image for $50. Go buy your own Raspberry Pi and install it to it.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's. But you're not going to have that pretty StellarMate, case, and you have to supply all your hardware basically.
Yeah, and we talked about this last time. It's a pretty nice package for $150. It's not like we're talking about a $400 all-in mini PC versus an $1,800 astronomy-specific mini PC. We're talking about a $150 astronomy-specific mini PC, which is pretty tempting. It's one thing to save a few $1,000s. It's another thing to try and save, I don't know, $60. So I wish to Sam well. This seems like a cool product. Okay, well, that said, I think that's it for tonight's episode. Guys, again, if you know these guys that won, let them know. Otherwise, if you're watching, just get a hold of me via the website. Thank you guys for coming. We will see you.
More.
What's that?
We want more.
More what?
More show.
More show? Oh, tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else I've got for tonight. Next week we'll go back to having some sort of true specific topic where we're actually learning stuff. I think today was just kind of a filler episode. Yeah, sorry about that. I know you guys are always looking to have us go on forever.
Solar eclipse messes up everybody's schedule.
Yeah.
Everybody's in shambles.
Yeah.
Vendors and just everybody. Can't even get a hold of your friends.
All right.
Did you get to go see it, Adam?
Not the full eclipse, not the total eclipse. I was up here, so I was pretty happy with what I got to see. But
where are you at, by the way?
I'm in Pennsylvania. So it was a pretty far drive for me.
What's the latitude there?
Oh, don't even ask me. 30.
30 something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would have had to have driven to what, South Carolina, I think. Not an easy drive, particularly with the kids.
Wait, South Carolina's south of Pennsylvania, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it went further south once it got east?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it went through what, Wyoming?
So it kind of came in through Oregon and then headed towards southeast.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep. All right. Well, again, thank you guys for coming. We'll have a longer show next time. We'll dig into stuff. Like I said, I've been tired, and I am expecting a call come to the hospital right now because the baby's here. So again, thank you guys for coming. See you next week. To those of you who have won, contact me, and as soon as you get it or as soon as you use it, let us know because we want to hear about it. Thanks again, guys. Have a good night.